So, hello and welcome to the Can't Choose, Won't Choose podcast. I'm here and I'm joined by Dejected Stephen. Is that the best way of addressing you? Or
Stephen Merryweather is the official stage name, but Dejected Stephen on Twitter.
Okay. So we've got a couple of different personas there.
Yeah.
Nice one. I did stalk your Twitter, Stephen, earlier this week. Just doing a bit of research and saw that there was a tweet that you turned 30 pretty soon.
Yes. Less than a month.
How are you feeling about
that? It's like I don't know how old you are. Have you turned 30 yet?
I'm not. I'm 28. So yeah.
28. Okay. Yeah. So I can't answer this, but a month, literally the day of a month before, I was just like, right. Self-destruct, everything has got to change. I can't do this, I can't do that. I need to get back into this. Am I doing the right thing? So I'm still in the panicking phase, but also, can't change it. You've got to turn 30 eventually, haven't you?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's certain things, I think when I was 20, I was like thinking millionaire, sports car, all that. But yeah, it's not happened, but I don't really care about that stuff anymore. Which is all good.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So your Twitter profile as well says level 8 bard comedian.
Yes.
Or stalking. What does that mean for a
so I'm a big fan of the game Dungeons and Dragons. And also I've been telling stories, writing stories, performing, did an acting degree. So really being a bard as a storyteller is kind of how I've lived my life since I was about 6, really. And so slowly leveling up every time I do a new gig that I think actually that was quite good. I pop another level on. But yeah, hopefully we'll see how high we go.
So you've been gigging since you were quite young then?
I've been gigging since I started uni. So that was when I was 21. I joined my university's comedy society. And then from that kind of started doing improv, started doing sketches. And then towards the end of the year, took that dive into stand-up. And then I went, well, let's kind of keep that going. Joined a group of ex-uni students in a Bristol group. And haven't really stopped since. Obviously, my distance, I don't live in Bristol anymore, so I do very much miss my friends. And can't wait to get back to performing with them. It's been pre-COVID since then, my last time on stage. And 4 days after my 30th, I make my triumphant return.
Oh, exciting stuff coming up there. Were you one of these comedians did you do anything kind of online? On Zoom, so no.
Yeah, we did a couple of Zoom gigs to try and kind of keep it going, and it was really good fun because it was an excuse for us to all just hang around with our friends most of the time. We are all performers by heart. We all want to, be and just be close with each other, and that's the only way of being close with each other when you can't be physically close. I think that's another reason why I started doing Dungeons and Dragons a lot more and running those games, because that's storytelling and you can have a bit of fun. You can be with your friends over just 4 different screens.
Yeah. And it's something, rather than the generic sort of getting drunk and doing a pub quiz over Zoom. It's like,
see, I don't drink anymore. I kind of fully gave up when I started doing comedy because I'm a control freak and I don't like giving up control, especially when I'm on stage. And then it kind of kept out. Obviously, lockdown. I had a couple of drinks in lockdown to cope. But yeah, I'm trying to keep that straight edge away from it. It's so much easier to have a night out when you actually remember the fun things you did and don't regret the massive mistakes you make.
Yeah, this is something I've been considering, to be honest. Like, genuinely, I've just been watching a load of kind of videos on YouTube about people's stories about how they got sober, what's the positives and negatives to it, and how hard they found it and stuff like that. And I think that is a big reason. Just sorry, go on.
No. I didn't find it too hard. I found it because the only time I was really going out, because I don't do clubbing or anything like that. The only time I was going out was when I was doing gigs. So I was just talking to people, and you know, when you've got a pint of water in your hand, it's no different from if you've got a pint of beer in your hand, to me at least. So I was just having a much nicer time, you know, getting to know the people you're gigging with, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you're just, especially when you're hosting, it can be quite awkward because you have to really introduce someone as if they are your best friend, because you want to get the crowd on your side. And having them say, you know, and so I'll go up to them and say, hey, how do you want me to introduce you? Tell me about yourself. Is there a specific line you like? You know, how do you pronounce your name in some cases? Because you want to get it right and you want to be there, you know. And then also, if you do right things, you get more gigs, because people think, oh, you know, he's quite good. Not like when you get bad reviews and things like that.
Yeah, whereas I suppose when you drink, you could pronounce the name wrong or get some information wrong, and it's just a bad kind of start to the relationship and the dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And when you're, you know, alcohol takes a lot of that element of safety out of my head, and it makes me quite anxious. And I'm already anxious enough stepping on stage. You know, anyone who's seen me on stage knows that I'm shaking until the first laugh comes in, which is what every other comedian is as well. They won't tell you that, but it's true.
Even the best ones. Yeah, I think for me, kind of touching on the kind of sober point, the reason I wanted to do it is because life's short. I think that everyone kind of agrees on that. I feel like sometimes drinking pushes the fast forward button through a night rather than actually going through it kind of chronologically. And your memory kind of goes, and the next night, and I'm like having people to get people to remind me of the good times. Did I actually have a good night? Can't remember. But yeah, it's just nice there's a lot more clarity and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to give it a go. It's just all my friends are getting married at the minute, so there's a lot of stag do's, and it's hard to get excuses from that. But yeah, it's definitely going to try it at some point. So have you got any kind of memories of your worst gig ever, best gig ever?
I can tell. Do you know what? I can tell you of my bad review. I've only ever had one bad review for my stand-up, which is, you know, I've not had many reviews. I've had maybe like 4 posted online blogs. But I did get a bad review once, and it became part of my stand-up set because it said that I don't know if you know the comedian Tom Lucy. He's starting to get quite big, and he's a fantastic comedian. I love him to pieces. He invited me to do a gig in Bristol, and I was like, yeah, absolutely amazing. And then the review came out, and it said that I missed my mark with the audience, and that I was just kind of faded into the background kind of thing. That was the overall kind of thing. It was like one line of like, and also things. Which I did, and the only reason I missed the audience was because I had to pull out of the gig the day before, and I couldn't perform there. And then whoever wrote that review obviously wasn't there or didn't pay attention. Just wrote a bad review about me.
Did you? I think I asked you on Twitter. Did you ever try and get in touch with him just to go? Actually there.
I never tried. I posted it on my social media and things like that, because it made me laugh. I think it's been taken down now, because I can't find it anymore. But it just made. I was like, this is a story for future, and we always want a fun story to be able to tell. There's nothing better than standing up on stage talking about your bad reviews, especially when you didn't do it.
I think it's just crazy how I feel like it's one of them where the journalist manager or whatever just said, you've got to review these, and then they've stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning and thought, shit, and then just scribbled out some sort of review.
I mean, I think they probably either they had a really good time at the gig, but they just, when they kind of went back, they just couldn't remember each of the people. So they just checked the Facebook listing, because obviously I was still on that, performing, and they went, "Oh well, I can't really remember what he said or what he did, so I'm guessing he was just a bit like, meh." But just like, send me a message, ask me, or double check with the gig promoter. He's the one that invited you.
Yeah. How did you think he did?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird one, that. It is a weird one. Right. Thanks for introducing your sort of giving some context to your comedy background. That's great. Are you ready for some daft would you rather questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Some of these have come off the top of my head. Some of these I have used Google and I've tweaked a little bit.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're all a bit strange. Right, so number one on would you rather. So would you rather have to crawl everywhere you go? So if you go to the corner shop, you have to crawl along the floor. Or anytime you spoke to anyone, you'd have to do it in kind of a seductive whisper.
Oh, I mean, as someone who gets on stage and has to tell jokes, it's quite creepy to tell a knock joke like this. But at the same time, I'm quite a neat freak, and lockdown was ideal for me because I was washing my hands all the time, alcohol gel everywhere. Went through my car, I found 4 separate half-used bottles of alcohol gel over the court, just in different glove compartments and wells. I would say I would probably rather speak in the seductive whisper than crawl everywhere, unless I was wearing gloves. But yeah, I think it would look weird if I was just crawling everywhere. But talking, there's lots of people who talk in that breathy, slow voice.
Deirdre Barlow from Coronation Street fame or EastEnders, can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think you need a full bodysuit to be truly sort of hygienic if you're going to crawl. And it depends which area.
I'd just get a job narrating like erotic audiobooks. It would be perfect, there you go.
100%. It'd be like the opposite of Brian Blessed's life, where he's constantly shouting.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely think the crawling one, you could be seen in public and no one would say anything with the whispering. They might just think you fancy everyone you meet, or I'm not too sure.
Or you've had like an accident, and that's how you throw, you smoked 40 a day, but you ended up with just the most breathy, fantastic voice you can think of.
Yeah. And
I'll do the rest of the podcast like this.
Oh, it's getting a bit...
No, I absolutely won't.
I'll put some Tom Jones on my background. But yeah, the crawling one, I feel like people are looking. Is he come out of the army? Is he still thinking he's at war? Yeah, there's a lot more questions to that, but I think 90% of people are joining on the whisper.
Yeah.
Right, we'll go on to question 2. That I made this one up, so this a bit strange. So would you rather have to knock on every door? So every kind of knock, you go to your friend's house or your family's house, you knock on their door. When they open the door, you have to be facing backwards for like 10 seconds. Or would you rather have to ask one stranger for a piggyback once a day?
Oh, I mean, the performer in me would see the showmanship of having to knock on someone's door and turn around and then just be like, "It is me. I am here." Especially in my breathy voice. I wouldn't be asking for a piggyback if we're adding all of these together. I'm not asking someone for a piggyback in seductive whisper, but I would. See, I'm quite a confident person most of the time. I'd have no problem just asking a stranger for a piggyback, to be honest. But I guess I'd have no problem with standing around and doing a dramatic reveal. They'd probably get used to it eventually. I would say, I'm going to say with that, I'd rather do the spin, because I'd make it dramatic each time. You could really heighten up the tension, play some music, Happy music if it's like a great thing. It's just like an entrance to a comedy gig, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think from what you're kind of saying and describing yourself as well, I don't think your family members or friends would be that surprised.
No, not really. I have a flair for the dramatic.
But the strangers may be a little alarmed.
Yeah.
I think the key to that, the piggyback one, would be the weight of the strangers.
Yeah, you got to find the right stranger. I'd just go outside, wait outside like a gym, find a really jacked dude, and like, hey man, you look amazing. Can I get a piggyback from you?
They probably enjoy it. It's a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. It's a compliment. Like, you are just like ripped. Like I bet you could just like carry me into the gym. You could just like squat with me. It'd be amazing. Like, yeah.
Whereas if you stood next to a bus stop with little old ladies,
yeah, then you've got a thing. Like, yeah.
You're terrorizing the community a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's a good one. Number 3. This depends on your dietary requirements. I guess this will probably be a pretty straightforward one. Would you rather have to only eat peanuts as the only food that you ever eat?
Yep.
Or only drink really flat Diet Coke?
Oh, see, I'm not allergic to peanuts, thankfully. But I do hate Diet Coke with a passion. I would say, having worked in restaurants, I'll go with the only drink flat Diet Coke because it would be better for me. I say better for me. It would ruin my gut. But you'd be able to eat other food, and that's, you want to explore those different tastes. I'd rather explore the different tastes of that than have something else, drinks wise. I'm a Coke person when I go out and drink. They're boring, I'll just have a pint of Coke or a glass of water.
Yeah, I think with the sober thing as well, I think bars that don't have a good selection of like non-alcoholic drinks.
Coke or apple juice.
I'll
have Coke, thanks.
Living the dream.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever get anyone in the restaurant sending the Coke back for being too flat? Or was that quite a rare occurrence?
No, because we had it all like pre-bottled and you could just quite easily like open it up. Food went back all the time, but I could tell that was going to happen because when you've worked, I started out on the pass, shepherding running the food, and then kind of worked my way up to management, and you just know what the food should look like. And you can literally say that's going to come back in about 5 minutes because you have not cooked that properly. You need to learn how to cook a steak. It is not difficult.
Yeah. I think I never send food back. I'm just the epitome of Britishness. I don't know if you're like that or not. But.
It very much, it depends on what the problem is. Most of the time I'll mention it and say, hey, this is a bit undercooked, overcooked, whatever. But I'll never kick off because I also know that it's busy and sometimes people are, not fully prepared, those kind of things. I know what it's like behind the door of the kitchen and how stressful it can be. So I never want to cause any more stress.
I feel like everyone should experience that for 6 months. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone should have to work hospitality or retail for at least 2 months just to see what you people are like.
Yeah. The respect to go massively, like a conscription.
Yeah. Return of national service, but for retail.
100%, I agree. Okay, numero quattro on Would You Rather. And this is all kind of connected to my last week. I've got a kilo of peanuts here just from trying to diet, and I did experience one of these forms of attire last week when I was quite drunk. So number 4, would you rather have to walk about to every single occasion, no matter how formal, in a sumo suit, or dressed as a toilet roll mummy in the Egyptian style?
I mean, I could probably pull off toilet roll mummy in the Egyptian style. If I could have the hair, if I could have like the face uncovered, you could make it you can kind of make it a joke. The sumo suit is very is very obvious. But I think it would be, also if it rains, you're no longer a toilet roll mummy, are you? Like that's gonna fall straight off. I'm finding the loopholes here.
You are.
Yeah, I'd go toilet roll mummy. I think just it would evoke more comedy and more kind of more stories than I think a sumo suit. I think if I was a sumo in the giant sumo suit, people wouldn't be like, they'd stop inviting me after a while. It's like, Steven's coming. Yeah, is he gonna wear the sumo suit? Probably. Yeah, he probably is.
It's been 30 years, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned there, the British weather doesn't help with the toilet roll mummy. That's the one downside. The sumo suit, the rain on kind of drop off.
Yeah.
The toilet roll mummy's less of a. I think from a long distance, people won't really judge it until they get up close and go, "You a toilet roll mummy?"
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know. I just had not that it's
I know.
Funny,
I like it. I like it. It makes no sense, and that's what these questions are. These questions are meant to make no sense and be a bit silly.
Yeah, definitely. It just had a weird sort of vision of a sumo suit at a funeral.
Oh, that'd be like. I mean, if and when if and when my funeral occurs, I don't want people wearing all black. I want the most ridiculous outfits. I want everyone to be wearing just Hawaiian shirts and shorts and just like going, this is, go and having a better day. Do my funeral early in the morning and go for the rest of the day. Just enjoy yourselves. Yeah. Go to a theme park. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put in my will. Everyone has to go to a theme park after I die.
Yeah. It's a better way of doing it, I suppose, than everyone getting drunk and crying. Everyone goes on a loop de loop. And
I want people to celebrate my death.
Bang into each other on the dodgems for 6 hours after.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's a good image. Right, so we're here for the. Is it penultimate, or is that?
I think this is the finals one. I don't know which one's. Yeah.
Yeah, this is number 5. Okay.
Number 5.
Yeah, so this is the last one. So, would you rather have to speak in a terrible French accent every time you spoke? So, like, I'm trying to think of an example of that. I think there was an old program back in the day, a bit before my time, but that hello.
Yes, yeah, the hello. All of those accents. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Or have to start every single sentence with the phrase "groovy baby."
Oh, groovy baby.
There was no hesitation.
Oh, hands down. I could make that. I could make that work. That would just become natural. Like I could do the crap accent and those kind of things. And part of playing D&D, you do put on the silly voices. All dwarfs are Scottish, as we all know. But I would absolutely go with the groovy baby in that sense. I think it would become a very natural thing. I'd use that now. I'm going to start using that now. I'm not going to use it for every sentence, but just like if someone comes, they're going like, I might start using it at work. Just kind of, I sent you that email. Groovy baby.
Are there any sort of instances where you think you might be sweating a little bit? Where a bit awkward.
I mean, having to kind of say, imagine you're sat down in the doctors and they have to give you bad news. Just like we've got the results, and I'm afraid there's only 4 months left. Groovy baby. That's when you're gonna be like, that's when I think I'd end up getting sectioned or those kind of things. I think you'd get sectioned if I went and did any of these would you rather questions. If I was crawling everywhere, if I was wearing a sumo suit to a job interview, you would just end up getting a padded cell. But yeah, groovy, hands down, groovy baby. It's I'm adding that into my everyday vocabulary now.
I think out of all the things that I've mentioned there, all the different elements from the questions, your face lit up.
It's just like that level of, because it's a level of silliness that I find very very interesting. There should always be a level of silliness in any situation, even in a serious situation. There's always that time for a little joke. You always get that joke, and it gnaws into the back of your head, and you're like, oh, go on, say it. You shouldn't say it, but you could say it. Not when it's dark. Dark humor's got its place as well, but just like a little silly. Oh, okay, that's a little kind of moment of that. Everything in life should have some silliness, because otherwise it's all the world is very dark at the moment. Let's find the silliness in it.
I agree. I completely agree. Is it? So out of I completely agree with that kind of motto for life. But the people who I don't tend to get on best well with when I start a new job or whatever are people who kind of take themselves too seriously. They can't be self-deprecating. They can't be silly and that kind of thing. Which are your favorite films out of interest on that?
Princess Bride, which if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. It's magnificent. It's a fantasy film, but it's got so much silliness in. Back to the Future as well. Went to see the musical of it about a year ago, and again fell in love with it. I mean, I do like quite a lot of varied films, but I would say those are the two kind of top at the moment.
Jim Carrey fan, if you like silliness, or
some of his stuff I really, really love, and I think some of his stuff can be a bit indulgent. But there's always room for the Grinch at Christmas, and there's The Mask. He's as a physical comedian, there is probably no one better. In his kind of just demeanor and it's kind of the way he moves himself. It's magnificent. It also helps that he is just very, very funny.
100%. I read about his story. It's quite tragic, I think, where it's like family were really struggling. He just used to get up in the living room and entertain them, and that's how he kind of learned his craft.
There's a really great interview with him from inside the actor's studio, where he talks about his all of that, and him getting into comedy and going into stand-up, and then at such a young age going into stand-up, and then growing out into this amazing, talented career.
It's fantastic. Back to the Futures. Where would you rate? You used to do multiple takes, I'm guessing.
Yes, I mean, I've done a few films and stuff, and they are the most boring thing in the world to do, because you're just sat around so much.
It seems so glamorous as well, doesn't it? I bet they are difficult.
It's really interesting, but it is that's why I like stage performance. This would probably be better to do for the podcast, but you can ask me that in a second. But I love doing stage performance. You turn up, you do the show, you fuck off home. Film performance, you turn up, you wait a little bit while they do some lights, they set up some cameras, you stand there, you block it out, you then go and sit back down again while they do some more lights and they fiddle around. You stand up, you do your scene once, twice, 3 times, you then go sit back down, they change all the cameras, they change all the lighting, you then go back, and it just keeps going for that's the whole day. I did one of the films I did, which was on Amazon Prime for a little bit, it took for a 2-minute scene, the only 2-minute scene that I was in the whole day, and then 2 hours of the next day. Just for 2, because it was outside, it was quite kind of moving around, and it was we had lots of different kind of camera angles that needed to be shot, but great time, great fun. But I'm a stage person rather than a film person.
I think I am after from what you're saying there. But that's just mad. I see every now and again I go on the IMDb for a film, and it'll say this was filmed in 30 days, and it's like a block. I can't imagine how they do that.
How they do that is they'll have they will have about 5 separate film crews working on that time. So they'll specifically write it so actor A and B are in one scene while they're filming the scenes with actor C, D, and E, and then bring them all back together and move it around. And they'll work 24/7. they will not stop most of the time, because there will always be evening shots, there will always be day shots. Yeah, so it is just, and most of the time they'll say, oh, it was filmed in 30 days. And then during the editing, they realized that they needed to spend another 2.5 months doing pickup shots and stuff like that. And that's when it does slow down, because Daniel Craig has already gone and accepted another theatre show. So they have to work around his schedule because he signed the contract. You only contract him for that time.
This was the kind of second part of my question. Do you think the bigger actors like that have more of the power dynamic than the directors most of the time?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's not the directors have the directors don't really have much say in it. It's the producers. Right. The people with the money, they're the ones that that have the say. So they'll come in and say, okay, well, we will throw money normally to the theatre, or whoever's contracted, and say, look, we need him for 4 weeks. Can you spare that? And then they'll come back and go, well, we need him for 3 days of those weeks, so you can have him for 2. And it will be a kind of a negotiation. Producers are an interesting person. I had a friend who was working as a location scout on a show and on a film, and the sound person was could hear the farmer in the tractor 2.5 miles away from his boom mic. That's how sensitive they are. And obviously that is ruining a scene, because it's a very intense, I think it was like a Scandi noir type, everyone wearing jumpers and being sad. Yeah. And so they literally said to the location scout, you go, look, here's 100 quid, go find that farmer and tell him to take his lunch break.
Jeez, that's crazy.
And so he had to just go and pay off the farmer and say, I need you to go away. I need you to go on lunch for the next 2 hours. Here's 100 quid. Off you go. And the farmer was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Quite a good lunch budget, I suppose. Yeah, I can kind of say, not that it's justified, and I think he was way too kind of aggressive about it, but I think it was Christian Bale had a massive rant in the middle of filming Terminator. He's like screaming at someone for walking in the middle of the set. But if it's that sort of sensitive, I can understand why.
So that was a lighting guy that did it. And if I'm acting, I'm gonna I want to look as good as possible. So the lighting guy can mess around with stuff all he wants. But also you're meant to be in the moment. And I know that's kind of why he was upset, because he reacted incredibly poorly, and he shouldn't have reacted that way. But he's one of those kind of method actors. I'm not a method actor type person. The method doesn't actually exist. It's just an excuse to be a nasty person a lot of the time. But you have, for me, when I'm off stage or when I'm not acting, I don't become the character. I'm still me. I'm just me saying the lines and doing the acting. And I'll see people kind of. That's another thing you see. That's another thing you never realize. There is always a continuity person on that will literally be like watching the cup, and just topping it up every single time. So normally you'll never see someone drink, and that's why. And there's often a lot of these kind of things. We have no cups, so you can just go.
Because I bet they get frustrated when they see like a list of not bloopers, but I forgot what it's called. Mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Mistakes, and you see, and you kind of see like, oh well, he had the watch on his left hand, and now he has it on his right hand. Yeah, that's just bad continuity. That shit. Make sure you're kind of keeping an eye on it. But they'll be the closest person to you most of the time, because they'll be there with like just watching everything, just writing stuff down, going like, okay, there's that, okay, great. Coming in, just changing the hair ever so slightly, making sure that the drip of blood hasn't gone down, and if it has, they wipe it. They get the makeup back on to put the drip of blood back in. It's that level, and I absolutely admire that. I think that's probably one of the most detail-oriented jobs you can do. Sorry, Christian Bale. Yeah, it sounds absolutely like surgical, like down to the T. But yeah, Christian Bale's his weight loss has been. I think that's
and I think if you ever have to do that level of that shouldn't be admired in people. Changing your body that much, because it's really dangerous and unhealthy to do. To massive, I understand, putting on some weight to make yourself look like Batman and those kind of things, and doing the muscle workouts so that you've got, the chiseled Chris Hemsworth abs and all those stuff. But when you're rapidly fluctuating between tiny skinny person to, larger person to muscly person, it's gonna destroy you as a person.
It does genuinely, I think, cut years off your life.
And it's not, I don't think I'd ever want to do, even as successful as I would dream to be, I wouldn't want to put myself in that situation.
It's strange as well, because the casting directors, they must know that they could get a slimmer person in, or someone who fits the build a bit more, and they'll be able to film quicker and all that sort of stuff, because they've got to wait for him to lose the weight in a safe manner as well by the medical team.
And that's again, like, casting directors, they have a specific person in mind, and you will. I have sat in rooms with people that look exactly like me but slightly more attractive, and you always think that, you always kind of sit and go, this is like the most bizarre, this, It's a Wonderful Life, Christmas Carol kind of, I'm just looking at what could have been if I had gone to the gym today, or what could have been if I had, styled my hair a little bit better, or, that kind of thing. I'm like, that's me with a beard. I can't grow a beard. How does that guy get a beard? He's going to definitely get chosen.
That must be so surreal. So surreal.
It is. And I find it very, it's quite humbling for someone we're all egotistical actors, we're all performers. It's humbling to sit in a room filled with people that look exactly like you and know that one of them or me is going to get the role, and that's because we look kind of like us. And it also kind of says that 7.5 billion people, are almost 8 billion now. We're all out there, we're not all that different. Some of us look exactly the same.
Yeah. You feel like you're unique when you look at yourself and think, when I grew my hair out of it, I got Andy Murray a few times, but I'll take his tennis skills.
When I've got shorter hair, it kind of does that feathered look. I've had some bad, like, people recognize me for wrong people. I've had the kid from Love Actually, the little blonde kid. And then I had this is a terrible story, but I was I let my hair over kind of lockdown and second lockdown, I think third lockdown, I let my hair kind of just give up because I couldn't get a hairdresser appointment, and it kind of went a little bit flat and didn't look great. And then I was in a queue for a drive-through very late at night because I was hungry. Someone kind of pointed at me from the car ahead and just went, "You Lewis Capaldi?" And it hit my two Britishness to kind of just go, I can't really say, no, of course I'm not Lewis Capaldi. He's an incredibly talented Scottish musician.
Yeah.
And I'm sat in a drive-through as far south from Scotland as you can get without being in the ocean. Of course I'm not Lewis Capaldi. And then they started playing Lewis Capaldi through their speakers and just kind of looking at me going like, yeah,
is that you?
So all I did was I just went, no, thank you. Just shake your head like, no. What? Like, I don't know what was going through their heads to think that he, at 11:20 on a Thursday evening in my hometown, Lewis Capaldi would be sitting in a car waiting to get a McDonald's.
Is he Brighton?
Yeah. So I'm Brighton. Yeah, but he's Glasgow, I think. Or
couldn't be further away.
Couldn't be further away if you tried.
But That's a straight. There are worse ones. At least he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. I used to get deck when I was younger.
Did you?
Don't like that anymore. Trying to, look as normal as possible now.
Could be worse. Could definitely be worse.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Trying to think of other ones I was.
Yeah.
I was about to say my cousin then, but you're not going to know my cousin, obviously. So
I mean, no, just like that. Really, but it kind of. But I'll be honest, that makes sense. I look like you look like your family. Otherwise, if you didn't, then there'd be some questions, wouldn't there? You'd be like, I don't look anything like any of these people.
This is like, people go up to people and are like, you look so much like your dad or your brother. And like, well, yeah, it'd be weird if I didn't.
Yeah.
It'd be really strange.
It was strange. I got invited to being invited to the family reunion in Brazil. I didn't look like anyone.
That's it. And if you did look nothing like your parents, then you might want to get a test. But
yeah, you might get one of those 23andMe things. Just find out.
Is that a genetic? Is that what you send off the samples?
Yeah, that's where you spit in the cup, and then they come back and tell you like you're 25% Norseman, and then everyone kind of goes, oh yes, it's the Viking in me, and then they'll start start watching Vikings and those kind of stuff.
Whereas actually
everyone is going to be a percentage of everything. We are. We're all from all far-flung areas. I mean, I'm Irish. I've got the Irish blood, so.
I was watching another podcast the other day with Conan O'Brien, the American dude, and he said he was the only one. He sent off his 23andMe thing from the genetics, and the guy came back and was absolutely baffled. He said, "I've never had this before, but you are 98% Irish." Like no one's been that Irish, but his name's Conan O'Brien, so
yeah, I
suppose
98% Irish is. I mean, that's a high amount. I think I'm like, I don't think I'm. I wouldn't want to know. I'll do one. We'll do one, and then we can catch back up and we can read it out. And
that could be. I'll do one as well. That could be the next podcast, and it could be. Not that it'd be positive or negative, whatever. It'd just be interesting.
No, just be interesting to do.
Yeah, and then the third one, we could dress up as all the different ethnicities that we're.
Oh, absolutely not, because we will get in trouble, because there's bound to be some kind, what's that phrase of like statistically everyone is a descendant of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because he went across, he conquered all of up to kind of Europe and things. So there has to be an element of the blood, and we're definitely not doing that.
So it's like thousands of women. Khans.
I believe that's the case. It's because you always get it, and they're going to go, oh no, it's like, oh, you're 0.0002% from Mongolia and that area, and they say, yeah, no, that's the Genghis Khan part of you. Like, what?
Jeez.
Yeah,
I feel like people who get like 50% Mongolian, they'd be like, the confidence would go up, and I'm a ladies man. I've got the gene. But yeah, Jesus, you can tell there weren't any Netflix back then. He must have been knackered. Anyway, on that note, so yeah, just really, really appreciate you coming on, Stephen. And it's been the first one.
Thank you.
A few technical issues from my end as well.
It's been good fun.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. Is there anything you want to kind of promote or?
Yeah, I will promote things because this is coming out around around when I'm starting to go back to gigging. So I'm going to be doing a gig in Bristol, which with my old comedy troupe, Up the Antics. So I'm going to promote their social media. So that's @up_the antics. So that's ANTICS. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me in real life if you really want. I need some friends. We're doing a gig on the 24th of September at the Bristol Improv Theatre. There's a whole event page on Facebook. You can go on to Bristol Improv Theatre's website as well to get tickets. It's going to be really fun. They are Up the Antics are going to be performing some improvised sketches. and I believe I'm going to find. We can cut this. Yes, and we're going to have a fantastic comedy group called. It's going to be Tuesday night at the Social Club by Your Dad's Mum. They're a really, really good comedy group. They were nominated for Best Debut Show at the Leicester Comedy Festival in 2020. I cannot wait to introduce them and watch their stuff. So please come by, come and say hello to me. Buy me a Coke. I don't drink, so other than that, or buy yourself a drink. But yeah, it'd be great to see everyone and anyone there.
Yeah, everyone, I'd highly recommend that. And yeah, instead of sitting in watching Elf like you do every year, go and see Stephen and all the antics.
Good. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you very much for watching Can't Choose, Won't Choose, and adios.
All right. Take care.